Python notebooks, like the kind you can create with Google Colab, are a great way to learn code and develop projects. But when it comes time to share the work of your project, a Python script is a good way to make your code really portable. And if you're in my DGST 301 class, I would like for you to prepare your code as standalone Python scripts and share those in GitHub. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to take your code from a Python notebook environment, Colab in this case, and transform it into a portable Python script. So let's take a look. I'm going to look at this example project that I created earlier. This is an example of using a template of one poem to turn it to generate new poems. And it's the template based on This Is Just to Say by William Carlos Williams. So what I want to do is take the code that I need from here, put it all into a single Python cell, and then take the contents of that cell into a text file, make sure it works, and then share that in GitHub. So I'm going to make a copy of this because I want to keep this notebook intact, the one that I've already created. So let me create this here. It's going to be called Copy of Template Poetry, and that's fine. I have not run this particular notebook yet because it just now started. So one thing you should notice is that next to each cell, you can see the open square brackets like that. And that means that that code has not yet been run. And that's good in this case because I want to run this all at once, make sure it does what I expect it to. And if it doesn't, then I need to make some adjustments. I'll show you what I mean as I go here. I'm going to upload a file first because in this example, I am uploading a file to the file storage area, the temporary file storage area of Colab, so that it can process this file. And I want to make sure that this file is here now for this example. It is. So I am going to put my code cell, I'm just going to put a cell here at the top, and I'm going to try to put everything into this cell. So I just run this one cell and then I get a poem. That's the idea. If you remember, I have lots of imports here, so I'm going to do a lot of copying and pasting to get everything in place here. This is reading the Birds of Australia book again. I already uploaded it there, just double checking the file name. This is blobifying it. The original poem, I'm going to load here. You know, actually, I don't really need this because I was just using this as a reference earlier. I don't technically need that, so I'm going to skip over this part here. I do want to build lists of parts of speech here, though, so let me make sure I get this. This is really important. As I do this, you can't see it. There's nothing visually showing up, but what I'm doing is I'm just doing Control-A to select all the text, Control-C to copy it, and then Control-V to paste it in place here where I want to put it. This is the code that reads through the blobified bird book, and it makes lists out of each part of speech, the ones that I'm interested in here: singular nouns, plural nouns, and adjectives. Now that I have those, I can plug them into my templates, and this is the template. So I'm just copying this. As I said when I created this particular example, I could make a much fancier and more elegant template system, but I like doing it this way, line by line, because it's really explicit. Like, it shows you exactly what I'm doing, and you can copy it and adapt it really easily, hopefully. So I'm going to put a couple of line breaks at the beginning just to make it clear where the poem starts in the output, and that's what those characters mean. \n means put a line break in there. And if everything is, oh, I put that in the wrong place. Let me make sure. You know what I did? I built everything in this cell instead of the very top one like I intended. Let me correct that. Let me move everything now. Sorry for all the scrolling. I know that gets a little, I don't want to make you seasick here. And this should be good. Yeah, okay, let's see what happens. So just take a couple seconds to set up NLTK, and now it's going to do all the processing, and there you go. This is just to say I have eaten the tertiaries that uniform were in the time, and which you were probably saving for breakfast. Forgive me, they were north, so bright and so gregarious. That's a poem. Okay, great. This runs and it works fine. Now, to make this a Python script, I don't have a window set up for this, but what I would do is copy and paste all of this into a plain text editor. I use Sublime Text, and then try to run it from my command line. Once I do that, I'm going to see a slight difference or need to make a slight adjustment. In this case, when I loaded Birds of Australia, the full path to that, because of how the Colab environment is set up, is content/birdsofaustralia.txt. In my own computer, if I were going to do this, I'd have the Python script and the Birds of Australia.txt file together in the same folder, and in that kind of arrangement, The path is just the name of the file. So if you have everything spelled correctly, you just need to name it. And so I'm going to go ahead and change it that way. Now I am going to go to my GitHub tab. And if you're in my class, you've probably, hopefully, already made a copy of the Creative Code repository. And what you should do is go to this repository and make a few changes to the Creative Code poem folder. That's where I am right now. I'll go back to the top level. So this is the example. And what I've done here is just put placeholder projects in so that you can see how to structure a project. It mostly is just files that are all together in the same folder. And this is the poem one. Take a look here. There's a README file, and once your poem generator is complete, you should take a minute to reflect on it and write about it here in the README. Remember, this README is meant for anyone in the world. GitHub is, you've got these as public repositories probably. I didn't show you how to make them private, but you probably didn't. So make sure you explain what the heck this is, because someone may come across this, want to know what you're doing, and if it's not explained well, they will have no idea what you're doing. So make sure you explain it. Also really explain why you think this is good. Like, think about what you're proud of with this project and explain it here. I don't want these to just be, if you're in my class, I don't want these to just be like good enough or, it's done, so it's done. I want to see if you can push yourself to make something that you're really proud of, that really produces something that is poetic, that's poetry, and something that means something to you. And that can be different, of course, but I want to hear you try to explain and work through that in the README file. But the poetry itself, the poetry generator rather, should be the template.py, template poem.py, or whatever you'd like to call it. I've already done this whole process once, so that's why you can see it here. It's already the code that I'm about to paste in. If you just made a copy of my repository, a fork of it, then it's the Franken poem example, which is another example, and it works fine as well. I think this one that I've done today is a little better, so that's why I'm pasting it in place here. But you can see I'm just pasting in my code and updating the code with my new example. You can explain it if you'd like. These code commits change whenever you make these code commits like this. They can just be very, very brief explanations. You don't need to write anything significant here. And I'm committing that to the main branch. And now under my poem folder, I have the explanation and then the template. I would need to change the link in this case and, of course, change the explanation. But that's it. And now this code is ready for me to share and for, if you're in my class, ready to turn in. But again, don't forget to do the README part of that. So that was hopefully a helpful explanation of how to move something from a Python notebook environment, Google Colab in this case, into a script file hosted in GitHub, which is what I'd like for you to do if you're in my class. I hope it was helpful. Have a good night.